This is a National 5 maths video. This lesson looks at how to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. Now, there are various steps involved. First of all, we need to make sure that we can make any mixed numbers top heavy. Then we need to make sure that both denominators are the same by finding the lowest common multiple and then adjusting the numerators. And then we can add or subtract the fractions when they have the same denominators. Finally, we want to simplify the answer if we can. Now, this skill is a level 3 skill, and you should already know how to simplify fractions. So I'm just going to do a couple of these just as a very quick reminder of what to do. So remember, when we're asked to simplify a fraction, we're asked to look for a number which could go into both the 2 and the 4. So 2 and 4 are both multiples of 2. So if we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2, we will be simplifying the fraction to 1 over 2. Now I'm going to jump down a few and try number 3 here. I'm looking for, again, a number that goes into 12 and 36. Now, when we are dividing, we want to make sure that we're always dividing by the highest common multiple of both 12 and 36. Oh, sorry, highest common factor of both 12 and 36. The highest common factor of both 12 and 36 is actually 12. 12 goes into 12 once, and 12 goes into 36 3 times. And that's the most simple that fraction can become. Now, you may not have saw 12 straight away. Perhaps you thought of 6. So let's have a look. If we divided only by 6 to start with, let's have a look at the difference. Dividing by 6 would give me 2 over 6. However, you can see here that 2 and 6 again can be simplified by dividing both top and bottom by 2, giving us the same final answer of 1/3. So make sure that you always divide by the highest common factor to get the most simple result. Now that was just a quick reminder. You can try the other two by pausing the video if you wish. Okay, so let's just quickly revise as well how to change top heavy and mixed fractions. That's something that we've been looking at the past couple of lessons. So if you want a little reminder, you can watch this part of the video. If not, you can skip forward. So a fraction is top heavy or improper if the number on the numerator is greater than the number on the denominator. We can change them to mixed number fractions or improper fractions using the following process. Okay, so again, I'm just going to do a few of these just as a quick reminder. So if we want to change these numbers to mixed numbers, then we are simply saying how many 6's go into 19. How many 6's go into 19? Well, I know that 3 times 6 is 18. So I know I'd have 3 wholes and I would have 1/6 left over. Okay, let's have a look at number 2. So again, I want to know how many 7's go into 33. Well, I know that 4 7's are 28, and then there would be 5 7's left over. Okay, number 3, how many 3's go into 25? Well, I know that 8 3's are 24, so there would be 1/3 left over. And let's have a look at number 4. How many 8's go into 37? So 4 8's are 32. So 5 8's would be left over. Number 5. How many 6's go into 17? Well, I know that 2 6's make 12, and there would be 5 6's left over. Okay, almost there. I'm just going to show this as a slightly different way to do it if you're still a little bit confused. how many 4s go into 18? So we could treat that as a division. We're really dividing 18 by 4. So how many 4s go into 18? So counting up in 4s till you get to 18. Well, I know that 4 and 4 is 8, and another 4 is 12, and another 4 is 16. So there would be 4 4s going into 18, so there'd be 4 wholes. However, the remainder there would be 2. Another 2 from 16 would take us to 18. So the remainder goes on top of that fraction. That's what's left over. That little fraction's left over. Now having a look at this question here, or answer, sorry, I can see that 2 over 4 can also be simplified to 1 over 2. So again, make sure that you simplify the answer when you can. 4 into 22, well, that would be 5. Make 20 and 2 left over. And again, 2 over 4 can be simplified. If you want to try and practice some more of these, you can do that. Remember, this was just a quick example of how to do these. Okay, this time the other way around. So when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we might find that we start off with some mixed numbers. We want to change them to top heavy, so we need to be able to do that as well. So remember, when we're changing back, we want to think about, well, how many thirds do you have altogether? Well, I've got 8 wholes made up of thirds, so I know that they're all cut into 3, so I'm saying, well, 8 times 3. So 8 times 3 is 24, but then I've also got these 2 thirds as well, so I'm going to add on those 2 thirds. So I've got 24 and 2 to make 26 thirds. Now I'm only going to do one more. Again, I've got this time 4 and 5/8. I want to know how many eighths I've got in total. I know I've got 4 wholes made up of eighths. So I can say, right, well, I've got 4 times 8, and that would give me 32 eighths. But I've also got another 5/8 to give me 37 eighths. You can try these remaining questions if you like for a bit of extra practice. We're going to move on now to adding and subtracting. If you want to give yourself a quick check, you can also do these 4 questions before we start. You can pause the video. Otherwise, let's move on. Okay, so you may have looked at these fractions questions before, so this will be revision if that's you. If not, then we'll start at the beginning. You should be able to already add fractions with the same denominators. So we already looked at over the last lesson how to add fractions with the same denominators. So if we have 1/4 add 2/4, we end up with 3/4. And that's straightforward. Here we've got different denominators. So let's have a little look at how we're going to add them. Well, we can't add them unless they've got the same denominator. So we have to make them the same. So we have to make what's called equivalent fractions. So if we think about the numbers 3 and 6, we know that 3 and 6 are both multiples of the 3 times table. We also know that 3 is a factor of 6. So that is our link here. So we know that 3 goes into 6 twice. So to make a common denominator here, I could keep the second fraction the same. And I could change that first fraction by multiplying the 3 by 2, because I know that 2 3s make 6. So if I do that, that changes the denominator to 6. However, if I do that on the denominator, I need to also make an equivalent numerator. So I want to times the top by 2 also to give me 4/6. Now that the denominators are the same, I can add them together. So I'll have 5/6. Okay, let's have a little look at number 2. Number 2, slightly different. 7 and 3 are not multiples. They're not in the same times table, so we have to think about multiplying both of these denominators. So I need to find a number that both 7 and 3 go into. Now I know that 7 and 3 both go into 21. To make 21, I need to change 7 by multiplying by 3. So I can make 21. To change the 3 into 21, I need to multiply by 7. So 7 and 3 both go into 21. Now again, I need to change the numerators, so I need to adjust them by doing the same on the top. So times 3 on the bottom, times 3 on the top, times 7 on the bottom, times 7 on the top. Now I've got the same denominator, I can add the numerators to give me 13 over 21. Okay, on to number 3. Again, 10 and 3 are not in the same times table. However, I know that 10 and 3 both go into 30. 30 is the lowest common multiple of 10 and 3. So I can times 10 by 3 to give me 30 on the numerator, and I can times 3 by 10 to give me 30 on the numerator. Remember, I need to change the top of the fraction, so that gives me 9, and change the top of the fraction here to give me 10. So altogether, we've got 19 over 30. Now for these last two examples, you may have noticed to get the numerator, lowest common multiple, we've really just switched these numbers with times by 3, times by 7, times by 3, times by 10. So if you're really stuck, that is one way to think about it. So if you can't think of what number 3 and 15 go into, 3 and 5 go into, then you could simply just switch the numbers round, and that'll give you the answer straight away, which would be 15. So we can make those both 15, and again, I want to adjust the numerator, so I want to times by 5 and times by 3 to give me 10 and 12. So this time 10 and 12 is 22. Now, this answer presents us with a top-heavy or an improper fraction, so we should always be looking to simplify that. So we need to say how many 15s go into 22. Well, that would be 1 15 goes into 22, and there would be 7 remainder. Okay, let's have a look at some subtraction, which works exactly the same way. So 4 and 2, well, I know that 2 is a multiple, 4 is a multiple of 2, so I can simply change that second fraction into 4 by times and by 2. So I'm going to leave that first fraction alone, and I'm going to multiply the second fraction by 2 to give me 4. I didn't need to times the first fraction. I can leave that alone. So 3 taken by 2 is 1/4. Okay, number 6. So again, 9 is a multiple of 3, so I can times 3 by 3 and get 9, the same denominator as the first fraction. I don't need to times the first fraction by anything. Do the same on the top, get 6, and I'm left with 2 over 9. Okay, number 7. 4 and 11 are not in the same times table, so this time I'm going to have to change both denominators. So I'm thinking of a number that 11 and 4 both go into. Remember, if you can't think of that number, simply swap numbers round, and that'll tell you what to times by. So 11 times 4 is 44, and 4 times 11 is 44. So I've got the common denominators. Remember to do the same on the top. That gives me 20 and 11. 20 take away 11 is 9 over 44. Okay, last one. So again, 10 and 6 are not in the same times table. So I need to think of a number that 10 and 6 go into, the lowest common multiple of 10 and 6. So if I times 10 by 3, I'll get 30. And if I times 6 by 5, I'll also get 30. Now it's a slightly different thing than we've done before. If you're not sure about that, remember the same trick works as before. I could have times 10 by 6 to get 60, and I could have times 6 by 10 to get 60, and that would work as well. But 3 and 5 give me the lowest common multiple straight away, so I can change those both to 30. if I've times the bottom by 3, I'm going to do the same to the top to give me 27. And if I've times the bottom by 5, I'm going to do the same to the top to give me 5. Subtract them both to give me 22 over 30. Okay, now 22 and 30 are both multiples of 2, so I can divide the top and the bottom by 2 to give me 11 over 15 for my final simplified answer. Okay. Right, so if you want to do a little bit of extra practice, you can pause the video now and you can complete these questions here. Otherwise, let's have a look at adding and subtracting fractions where we have a mixed number. Now again, there are a fair few examples here. I think I'll do only a couple of these and you can try the missing ones. So, first thing we want to do is make both fractions top heavy first. So we do that, remember, by timesing the denominator by the whole number and adding on the numerator. So 3 times 4 is 12. Add on the 3 is 15 quarters. Times the 1 and the 2 to give me 2. Add on the 1 is 3 halves. So once we've done that, we then want to make the common denominators and adjust any numerators. So I can see that if I multiply the second fraction by 2, I'll also have 4 on the denominator. I do that on the bottom, I need to do the same on the top, so I'm going to end up with 6. 15 take away 6 is 9 quarters. Again, I want to then change back into a mixed number, so I say how many 4s go into 9, well that would be 2 to give me 8, and there would be 1 quarter left over. I've done a subtraction, so I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to move on to C. Okay, so again we want to make top heavy fractions, so 8 2s are 16 and 3 is 19/8. And 4 times 1 is 4 and 5, 1 is 5 quarters. Okay, so thinking of a number that 8 and 4 go into, well I know that 8 and 4 both go into 32, I could times 8 by 4 and I could times the 4 by 8. But I also know that 4 goes into 8 twice, so really I could just change that second fraction and make it 8ths, and that would save that would save just getting some bigger numbers. So 8 on the bottom, same on the top, times that by 2 to give me 10. I end up then with 29 over 8, and I'm looking to simplify that to make it into a mixed number again. So I say how many 8s go into 29. So I know that 3 8s are 24, so 3 8s are 24, and there would be 5 8s left over. Again, I'm going to skip D, you can fill that in if you want, pausing the video, and I'm going to have a little look at what might happen if we had a question like E. E, you may actually be able to do in your head. You've got 1 whole, and you're subtracting a half. So you might know the answer straight away, 1 whole take away a half. Let's just, for the purpose of the video, show what we would do here. You might be a bit worried there's not a a denominator here. There is, it's just not written. The denominator is just 1, so if you want to, you can change that. We know we need to make the denominators the same, so this time I could times that first denominator by 2, and obviously adjusting the numerator to give me 2 over 2. 2 over 2, take away 1 over 2, just leaves me with 1 over 2 or a half. Quick look at F, same thing, no denominator. It would just be 1. If you want to add it in, you can. We then want to adjust the numerator and the denominator so that we've got the same denominator. So I could just simply times that by 4, and same on the top to give me 12. So 12 quarters, take away 3 quarters, would leave me with 9 quarters. And then changing that back into a mixed number, how many 4s go into 9? Well, that would be 2 and a quarter. Okay, let's have a quick look at a worded problem. Just to finish with here then, so last question. Okay, so Tom walked for 1 5/8 kilometres, and then he walked another 2 3/5 kilometres. How far did he walk in total? So we've got 1 5/8, and then he walked 2 3/5. So it's an adding question. Remember, before we start, we want to make top heavy, so we do 8 times 1 is 8. 8 add to 5 gives me 13/8. Second fraction, I want to times the denominator and the whole number to give me 10/5, and then another 3/5 gives me 13/5. Okay, can't add until I've got the same denominator. The lowest common multiple of 8 and 5 would be 40. So I'm going to times 8 by 5, and I'm going to times the 5 by 8. Give me 40 on the denominators. Then I need to adjust the numerators, remember, to make them the same. So I'm doing 13 times 5, which is going to give me 65. And I'm going to do 13 times 8, which is 104. Remember, you can do things like 13 times 8 at the side if you need to, breaking it up into 10 times 8, which would be 80, and 3 times 8, which would be 24, will give you 104. Okay, adding those two numerators together is going to give me 169/40. And then you want to simplify your answer. So you're saying how many 40s go into 169? Well, I know that 4 lots of 4 is 16. So 4 lots of 40 would be 160. So 4 lots of 40 is 160, leaving 9 left over. Okay. Remember, if you have any questions, you can get in touch.